Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the series of this Java tutorial. So in previous session, we already discussed about Java project packages, sub packages, how to create the classes, then how to create variable constant difference between that, how to create the object methods, everything we already covered the basics of the Java. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about constructor. So what exactly the constructor? So constructor is a similar as the method, okay? And the constructor name is always similar, is always like a class name, okay? So how to create the constructor? So I will create the constructor here. So we already discussed that in the class we are writing variable, constant, method and constructor. So how to create the variable, constant, method we already covered. So in today's session we will discuss about the constructor. So suppose I'm creating the public void. I will just create the method first. Suppose I'm creating the method as a method one. Okay, that's my method name. This is the method. Then how to convert this into the constructor? So as we discussed, the constructor name is always similar to the class name. So let's give this as the class name. So instead of the method one, I will give the name as the login as the admin. Okay. The next point you need to remember is that constructor cannot return any value. So that's why we need to remove this void. Okay. So this is the constructor. So this is the way that you can write the constructor. Okay. So the next point is constructor can take the argument, but they cannot return the value. Okay. So first, what we will do, we will just run this constructor without any arguments. Okay. And we remove the void because we cannot retain the values. So let me just print the statement here. This is my constructor. Okay, and I will save this. So in other class I already added this main statement that we already seen, right? Main method. Then I have already created this object. So whenever you create the object, right, it will automatically call the constructor. So you don't need to write. So suppose I'm calling any method, right? So I need to write like obj dot or any method name. Suppose the automation method I want to call. Then I need to write the name, right? So first you need to create the object and then only you can call that method. But for the constructor, you don't need to call the methods. You just need to create the object of that particular class where constructor is defined. Okay, so let's run this. You can see this is my constructor, so my constructor gets executed. Okay, so let's see how to pass the argument. Okay, so suppose I want to do addition here, so I will pass int a comma int b. Okay, these are my two arguments. Okay, and I'm doing the addition. Suppose int c is equal to a plus b. Okay, and I will print this statement here, print the c value here. Okay, so this is in this method, I'm just doing the sum. So in the constructor, we are adding this two number int a, int b, and we are printing the addition of this two number. Okay. So if you go to the a, right, you see this error. Okay. So this is mentioning like add argument to match login as a admin int, correct? So because we have created this object and here we have mentioned we need to pass this two argument. Okay, so when I click on this, it will add the two arguments. Suppose I added the value as a 10 and suppose here as the 20. Okay, and let's run this program, run as Java application. You can see this both the statement gets executed. This is my constructor, and the C value 10 plus 20 is equal to 30. Correct? Suppose I want to do addition of two more numbers. Can I call this constructor one more time? Yes, you can do that. So how to do that? You need to same create the object. Okay. So object name I will give here obj1. Okay. And suppose I want to add 45 and 25. Okay, so I have created two objects for that, and I'm providing the different argument value here. Okay, let's run this program. Now you can see this is executing two times. First one is the addition of 10 plus 20, that is 30, and then 45 plus 25, that is 70. Okay, so in this way you can pass the arguments of the constructor. So always remember that we need to call a constructor when we create the object of the class constructor. Automatically it gets called, so you don't need to write a method to call the constructor. Okay, and constructor can take the argument but it cannot return the value. So we already covered that how to pass the different arguments, and how to pass the different argument value in the same constructor. Okay, so in that way we can call this constructor multiple times. Okay, so one more point. So before moving to the next point, let's note down the points for this. So constructor name uh, will name is always similar to class name. Okay, it can take argument but cannot return value. The next point is we need not to call constructor. Okay, when we create the object of the class constructor automatically gets called. Okay, so this point we already covered. The next point is so we already compared this with the method, right? So we can write a multiple method. So we already covered this method writing. So I have this different methods for the total mark and percentage. In the same manner, can we create a multiple constructor? Yes, we can create that. But the point is it should not have the same number of arguments or the same data type. So how to create that? Suppose I'm creating one more constructor. I will copy this. Okay. Let's first create with the same argument and same data type. Okay. Let's see if it is showing error. If you can see here, I'm just providing the statement here. This is my second constructor. Okay. So if I see this error, duplicate method, login as an admin. Okay. So this is a duplicate constructor. Okay. So in that case, what I will do, I will just remove this arguments from the here. Okay. Now you can see the error is now removed. Okay. So basically these both the constructor having the same name, but you can see here I'm passing the two arguments, int a and int b, and here I'm not passing any argument. I will create one more constructor with only one argument. Okay. Suppose I'm passing int a, just int a. You can see now also error is removed. Okay. So now I have created this constructor uh, at this class. Then how to call this constructor? Okay. So to call this constructor, you need to create the object again. I'm here passing the two arguments, right? Which is integer argument. So in that case, it will call the first constructor. That is, this is my first constructor. Okay. Then suppose for the second constructor, I'm not passing any values. Okay. In that case, it will call my second constructor, which is not having any argument. Okay. And suppose if I want to call this third constructor, I need to pass one integer value. Okay. So I will create one more object here for the login as an admin class. Okay. And this object number is 2, and I'm just passing this one argument, suppose 20. I will again create this constructor again. Okay, now you will get the clear idea. Suppose here I'm passing the values 6 and 20. Let's run this program. Oh, sorry. This is object 3. Okay, let's run this one. Now you can see the first one is, this is my first constructor, and it is showing addition of 10 plus 20, that is 30. Then here we just write the print statement. So this is my second constructor, this is my third constructor, and again we pass the 2 argument. So that's why it is printing this is my first constructor, and the addition is the 26. So one more point to add in our notes is that we can create more than one constructor, but what the point, it should not have it should not have the same number of argument or the same data type. Okay, so at least the data type should be different. Suppose I'm passing the 2 number of argument. In that case, suppose I'm passing this float a and int b, then that will be the fine. So or I'm passing the 3 number of arguments with the same integer, that's also fine. So it should have at least a different number of arguments or the different data types. So that's the condition. So let's see what exactly the use of the constructor. Okay. So if you see, I will call one more method. Okay. What I will do, I will call this obj.hello here. Okay. Or obj.automation that we already call. I will add that. You can see I will remove all these methods. Sorry, I will remove all these objects as well, and I will run this again. Now you can see this is my first constructor is a printed first, then the addition of this 2 number, then obj.automation method is get printed, right? So the thing is, whenever you calls a constructor, whenever you create the constructor will execute the first, okay? And then other methods will get executed. So whatever other method you are having in this class, that will get executed after the constructor. So constructor is the initialization point. Okay. So that's why we are using the constructor in the Java code. So let's take the practical example. Again, I will take the same example of the Amazon. Okay. So when you are doing the automation for the Amazon, what will be your basic steps, right? So I will write here uh, below this constructor. Suppose first I need to go to the Amazon application, right? So for that, I need to start my browser, okay? And then I need to put the URL in that browser, right? So after that, I will perform the multiple application. Multiple functionalities, I will check that, right? So how to do that? Suppose I'm doing add to cart, okay? Or the payment thing. I'm checking all those functionality on the Amazon, right? I will first need to do this browser plus URL. I need to log in into that application. Okay. And then only I can do this add to cart and the payment thing. Correct. So in that case, suppose this is my test case number 01 and this is my test case number 02. In both the test cases, first I need to open the browser, then I need to put the URL, right? Whatever Amazon.com, and then I need to provide my username and password. So this is the first step for all the test cases that I'm performing. Okay. So suppose add to cart, check product list for home appliances. This is my third test case. For each and every test case, this is the common steps I need to perform. Suppose I want to add something into the cart, I need to go to my browser, I need to open my browser, I need to put the URL, then I need to do a login, I need to uh, put my username and password, and then I need to log in. Then only I can add the products into my cart. The same steps for the payment, that same steps I need to check again for this test case number 3 as well, right? So these steps we can put in our constructor. Okay, so what I will do, I will remove these things from the here. Okay, and I will just write the print statement right now. The actual code we will see in the upcoming sessions. So I'm just printing this. Uh, oh, this one. So I need to uh, open the browser. Okay. Then URL, put the URL and login with valid credential. That will be the common point for all my test cases. Okay. And then I'm writing suppose public void test case 01. Okay. This is my first method. I will just create the two methods here. Okay. And public void test case 02. And I will print the statement under this. This is add to cart test case number 01 and payment test case number 02. Okay. Consider that I don't have the constructor right now. You don't know about the constructor. In that case, what I will do, I have just these two methods, two test cases, right? For both these test cases, I need to first write this code, like how to open the browser, then put the URL, valid credential. I need to write this separately and I need to execute this separately, right? So I need to rewrite this code again and again for all the test cases I'm having. So you are rewriting the code and you are making your code bulky, right? In that case, you can put this code in one place only, that's in a constructor. And why we are putting that in a constructor? Because we want to start our initialization will start at that point only. So we need to put the browser, we need to open the browser, put the URL, all those things that will start, that is our initialization point for all these test cases, right? So that's why we are putting that into the uh, constructor. Okay, so let me just execute these test cases and let's see how exactly this is looking. Okay, so I'm of obj dot, I will call my test case number 01. Okay, now let's run this. Now you can see open browser plus URL. This code will run first, then add to cart test case number 01. Suppose if I want to execute the test case number 02, in this case as well, this will open the browser first, log in, and then it will execute whatever the steps for the payment. So this is the practical example for the constructor. So constructor are used for the initialization purpose. So another example is suppose you want to make a database connection before executing your test cases. So whatever the database connection code you are having, you can put that in the constructor, and then you can write your test cases after that, right? So the first constructor will gets executed, that will make a connection with your database, and then you can run whatever the test cases depends on those database connection. Okay, so that's the point. So let's uh, revise the all the constructor point again. So the first thing is constructor name is always similar to the class name. So suppose I'm creating the constructor for the class A, then I need to give the name constructor name as the A. Okay, so for this login as a admin, I'm creating the constructor name as a login as a admin. Constructor is a similar to the method. It can take the argument, but it cannot return the value. So that's why we remove the void from the here. We need to call a constructor when we create the, we need not to call, the constructor. When we create the object of the class, the constructor will automatically gets called. Okay. We can create more than one constructor, but it should not have the same number of argument or the same data type. And now we covered what exactly the use of the constructor. So constructor is a basically used for the initialization. So whatever the code you want to execute before executing all your test cases, that you can put into the constructor. So we already covered the example, like open the browser, put the URL and login, or the other example is the database connection. So that's it for the constructor. In the next session, we will cover the loop, for loop, if else loop, all those things, if else condition and all those things we will cover in the next session. So that's it for the today, guys. Thank you and have a nice day.